Well, hello, lovely humans, and welcome back to my channel. If you are watching this on Wedding Chicks or over on Facebook, thank you so much for stopping by. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I feel like there are a lot of misconceptions about. And if you've seen the title of this video, then you already know what we're going to be talking about. So this part's redundant, but I need to say it because that's how I start all of my videos. We're going to talk about the difference between a venue coordinator and a wedding coordinator. Because 97% of the time, I do have my percentages correct, there is a difference between the two. And I've heard several times from couples, from friends, oh, that's okay, we're not gonna hire a coordinator because our venue has one. And I gotta tell you that that's not quite how it works. I do have to be careful here because if this is not given in the right context, it can sound kind of ranty. That's not what I'm doing. The best events I've ever worked are events where there is a venue coordinator and a wedding coordinator. Everything is like flawless. It's seamless. There is such an amazing teamwork that happens between a venue coordinator and a wedding coordinator that creates like fabulous, fabulous events. So I am not saying that venue coordinators are not fantastic humans and don't do a fantastic job. What I'm saying is there's like a misnomer out there about what their job title actually is, and then couples expect them to do what a wedding coordinator does. Does that make sense? So I feel like it's kind of important to address what the difference between those two roles are so you guys can make an informed decision when you're selecting your venue, when talking to a venue coordinator or a wedding coordinator, those sorts of things. Venue coordinators are amazing at what they do. The reason that I'm making this video is because a lot of people don't know the difference between the two and then expect venue coordinators to do the job of a wedding coordinator. And that I feel like is super unfair to all of the hardworking venue coordinators out there. Now, of course, with that being said, we have our like typical weekly disclaimer. There are venue coordinators that are day of or week of or month of coordinators. There are venue coordinators that do all of the things I'm about to list off, but they're very few and far between. So educating yourself and learning the difference between the two is paramount to make sure that you are making wise decisions when it comes to your wedding day. And also because we don't want to have unfair expectations for someone who's that's not their job title. So without further ado, let's jump right on in. One of the biggest differences between the two, between a venue coordinator and a wedding coordinator, are the locations in which they are in charge of, if that makes sense, or the locations in which they work. If you have your ceremony at a church and your reception at a reception hall, your venue coordinator from the reception hall is not going to help you out with your church ceremony. And they're not supposed to. They're employed by the venue to protect the interest of the venue and to make sure everything goes great at the venue. So they're not going to travel around with you throughout the day and manage multiple different locations. A wedding coordinator would. On top of that, your wedding coordinator will talk with your photographer and potentially mention a couple different places where you could do a first look, things like that. A venue coordinator, their focus is the venue and they're in charge of things that happen at the venue. Anything that happens off-site, it's not their responsibility. The second thing is the hours that they work. Oftentimes, again, this is not always the case, but a venue coordinator will actually leave after the meal has been served. This especially pertains to places that have in-house catering and in-house rentals or however that may work because usually there's a catering manager involved as well. So once food is served, most of that stuff's kind of out of the way for them. The biggest part of what the venue is offering is done. So they will either leave after the meal is done or after cake cutting happens. The wedding coordinator, on the other hand, stays throughout the entirety of your event. Again, some venue coordinators may stay the whole entire time, but in my experience, most don't. The third thing would be timeline management. A venue coordinator will communicate with vendors when it comes to load in and load out times. Basically, how long is the place gonna be open? What time are y'all showing up? Those sorts of details. And if they're one of those venues that offers catering, they will also come up with a catering timeline, which is fabulous. I love catering timelines. They make my life so much easier. A wedding coordinator does different stuff than that though. When it comes to your timeline, a wedding coordinator is the person that will start off your ceremony, will tell you when to start walking, will prompt toasts, will pause on your grand entrance and go and run and tell the DJ, hey, we gotta wait a minute because your buckle has broken. those sorts of things. So we're more of your liaison in that situation. The fourth thing would be vendor communication. When it comes to communicating with vendors, a venue coordinator will make sure that they have liability insurance, a business license if necessary, and maybe even a catering license, and they'll make sure that vendors know all of the rules as it pertains to their particular venue and location. For a wedding coordinator, they sometimes do those same things. They make sure that liability insurance is there, sometimes on behalf of the venue, but they'll also reach out and make sure that everyone knows when they're supposed to be, where they're supposed to be. So while a venue coordinator may talk to a photo booth company and say, okay, what time are you showing up? 5 o'clock? Okay, cool. We're gonna have you over here. This is where the outlet is at. Perfect. Photo booth company needs to know that. A wedding coordinator will say, okay, you're showing up at 5 o'clock, but what time are you opening? You're opening at 6. Okay, that's right when dinner starts. Can we push you back to 7 o'clock so you arrive at 6? So then when dinner's over, that's when you officially open, so we take more advantage of the time that you're available. How does that sound? So we have two completely different roles here. Now, if a photo booth person was to come to me and be like, hey, do you know where the outlet is? And it's the first time for me to work at that location, I would be like, let me find out and get back to you, because I have no clue. That there is like one of the biggest differences between us. A wedding coordinator will help to manage your timeline and scoot things back and forth, while a venue coordinator will make sure that things are happening within the hours that the event is happening. Does that make sense? The next item, contract review. A venue coordinator most likely will not review any of your contracts. A wedding coordinator just might. In fact, if a client for me as their coordinator were to send me like, hey, I don't know when this person's doing what or when they're showing up, I would say, just do me a favor, send me over your contract and I'll read through it and get the information we need out of it. That's not what a venue coordinator is there to do. They're not there to help, discern or that's not the word, translate the legalese that happens to be on your wedding contract. They're just there to make sure that that vendor is licensed, insured, they're not going to screw anything up, they're not going to set the venue on fire, those sorts of things. The next item would be personal details, escort cards, seating charts, those sorts of things, favors at tables. Oftentimes a venue coordinator will have their staff place out escort cards or the seating chart or favors. That is something that oftentimes a venue coordinator will do. What they won't do is pass out your tips, because liability-wise, that's not a wise move for the venue to be handling any sort of personal funds. They also will not get your gifts into your car or your seating chart back into your car afterwards. They won't be the person likely to physically pick it up and carry it out and put it in your mom's vehicle for you. While they do handle some of the personal details, and that does vary from location to location, so I do highly recommend that you check with your venue coordinator first to see what items they will help you out with. A wedding coordinator clearly does some slightly different things in this area. The next thing would be guest affairs. A venue coordinator doesn't really deal with guests unless they are breaking rules or they have questions about the property or the surrounding area. So if someone's like, hey, how do I get to the freeway? And I'm working at a venue for the first time, I'm gonna be like, you would. When you would talk to a venue coordinator, they work there every day or every week or every weekend or whatever it happens to be, and they know the area like the back of their hand. If there is a clogged toilet, they know where the plunger is. If a breaker trips, they know how to fix that because that is their workplace. A wedding coordinator doesn't. They just figure it out, but they don't know those things. A venue coordinator will also, if there is a drunk or disorderly guest and the venue is handling catering and or alcohol, will go to the bartender and say, hey, that guest needs to be cut off. That's also something a coordinator does, but as you can see, the difference here is the venue itself. If they're serving the alcohol, they need to protect the venue's interests, and they also need to make sure everything is safe and secure and happy and healthy at the venue. But most likely, your venue coordinator will not go chase down your sister when she chooses the wrong moment to go to the bathroom right before her toast. Most of the time, a day of coordinator has those answers for you. And most of the time, a venue coordinator will have probably half of those answers for you. It's not like they are devoid of helpful information. Like I said, the best run events have a venue coordinator and a wedding coordinator. Just because a lot of our duties might cross over a little bit doesn't mean we wear each other's hat. When it comes down to it, the biggest difference, and this sounds a little harsh, I know, is where does their paycheck come from? Because a venue coordinator is charged with protecting the interests of the venue. And yes, The interest of the venue oftentimes does mean making sure clients are happy and making sure they're enjoying their wedding day. But at the end of the day, they have to protect this venue because a lot of stuff goes down at weddings. Like, they need to make sure that the venue is being looked after and all the rules are being followed both by guests and vendors alike. A wedding coordinator, their paycheck comes from you or your parents. So at the end of the day, who is that person basically like? Who does they have to respond to? And yes, you will find some that do wedding coordinator duties or are a full-blown day of wedding coordinator, and that is fantastic. If you find one like that, you hold on to him or her and you snuggle them for all that they're worth. Maybe don't snuggle them, that's a little weird. But you hold on to them because that is a precious gem that you have found, because most places don't offer that. Whereas a wedding coordinator is your buddy. They're your wedding day BFF to make sure that everything that you want to see happens. So when it comes to defining whether your venue coordinator is a day of coordinator or not, take some of these things into account. Ask them questions like, will you set up our escort cards? If we have tips that need to be passed out at the end of the night, will you do that? Do you also have a needle and thread in case my bustle rips? Do you have extra deodorant on hand in case the groom gets a little sweaty? Those sorts of things. Taking what you've learned on this channel about what a day of coordinator is, ask your venue coordinator if they do those same things. Ask them about a couple things that I mentioned in this video, because if you find that gem, grab them, snuggle them, run. If they answer a lot of those things saying, no, that's actually not what we do, good. It gives you the opportunity to make sure that all of your bases are covered by bringing on a wedding coordinator as well. And I know I've been talking about this for like, golly, like a month now, and you're probably so sick of hearing about this 10K giveaway, but I don't even care. So if you have access to Instagram, then you already know what has happened, which means you have gotten a jump start on this little nugget of info. I have two things. Hold on. I'm going to be totally honest. These items were sent to me. I'm not being paid to talk about them. I don't have to talk about them. They said, if you want to, great. If you don't, great. Just want you to see our product. And I thought, okay, I actually like these two things that I was sent, and I actually kind of want to show you guys what they are. And they are some 2 rad books. I'll explain these in just a moment. Here's how the giveaway is going to work. There is going to be a link in the description box. Click on it. It will show you all the ways that you can enter to potentially win both of these books and 1 free hour consultation with me, which basically means we'll FaceTime, we'll Skype, we'll jump on the phone. I don't care what time zone you're in. We will figure something out, and I will give you a full hour of just me talking, which is, now that I think about it, probably not that much of a prize. But I'm throwing it in there anyways because I just want to meet more of you. The first item we have is A Bride's Guide to a Picture Perfect Wedding by Kevin Elizabeth. And it is just this beautiful, it's almost like a coffee table book of just advice for pictures. And then beautiful pictures within them. There's like pros and cons of a first look. I mean, look at that. Look at that. And it's all wrapped up in this beautiful package. Ooh, there's a whole page on why hire a planner. Ooh, I haven't even read this part yet. One thing to be aware of is that a venue coordinator is absolutely not the same thing as a wedding planner. The venue coordinator's primary concern is managing the venue and all of its inner workings, whereas your wedding planner represents you and all of your plans and visions. Venue coordinators also typically depart after the salad or entrees are served, leaving you without a coordinator for a majority of the reception. While having a venue coordinator is better than having no coordinator at all, please realize they won't be providing the same services and benefits to you as an actual dedicated wedding planner. Kevin, I didn't even know that was in there. I just randomly flipped to that page. But basically, it's full of nuggets and great perspective from a photographer on how to best capture a picture-perfect wedding day. And then the other thing that we have is, I'm going to be honest, it's from a company whose name I don't know how to pronounce. I think it's Fluitico. Okay, I'm just going to hold it up because this is like next level hard. Fluitico. If you are into physical planner books, this one is a gem and a half. It is, I believe, leather bound. If it's not, then this is like raw high quality imitation. And the first thing that greets you is just lovely floral patterns. It's so cute. And it gives you basically a really, really fun, cute way of making sure that all of your information stays in the same place. Oh, look, they even have flowers for you to look at. So this giveaway is open to basically anyone watching this video, as long as you are 18 years or older. And as far as shipping is concerned, shipping is free within the United States. All of the terms and service will be included in the link, so be sure to read through all of that before jumping on in and signing up for the contest, just in case. We want to make sure we stay all above board. And then the winner will be selected, and I will shoot you an email. And we're gonna like do all the freaking out together. And then we're gonna talk about all the wedding planning stuff. And we're gonna hang out for an hour. It's gonna be so, so great. So that's all we have for today, folks. Thank you so much for stopping by. As always, a huge shout out to my gal pals over at Wedding Chicks for hosting this video. And until next week, bye guys.